Good morning and welcome to Block of the Month 2023 at the Fabric Barn in Rosebud, Texas. I'm Margaret Arney, designer of the pattern and teacher. So let's get started. We're going to do things a little bit different this year. All of our patterns will be written in black and white for our classes. That way you're not affected by what I've picked. You can see the colors behind me are ones that I've picked for one of our quilts. I believe in our introduction, we have pictures of both of the quilts that I've already made. The one we'll be doing in class will be in blues for me. That's why we don't want the colors to affect what you pick, because our first class is going to be about color value and cutting and organizing. This whole quilt is based on color value. Light, medium, medium dark, and dark. And so you'll be having multiple patterns and fabrics in all of those different values. We're doing the cutting first because that will keep it easier for you to organize. And a lot of organization is important in this quilt, but I'm going to give you all those hints as we go along and some of the things that you will need to keep organized. So we're going to start right now with our general instructions. You've heard these general instructions before, but I want to go over them again. So you will need at least 4 or 5 of each color value. You can go up to as many as 8, 9, 10, whatever you feel like you want to pick for the colors. The largest piece of fabric that you're going to need will be a 3.5 inch, because we'll be cutting nothing bigger than 3.5 inch. So make it 4 inch. Try not to have like fabrics side by side when we're putting them together, unless you want to. It's your choice. Use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Shorten your stitch length to 2 or less, and iron in the direction of the small arrows on your pattern. So your fabric requirements are going to be light, medium, medium dark, a border, and 1 and a border 2. The pattern's also written in yardage. So you'll be able to, if you want to do yardage, you can. It's written primarily for fat quarters. The supplies you're going to need are your sewing machine and attachments, 1/4 inch foot if you have it, rotary cutter and mat, a short ruler, a shape cut ruler if you want. Get it out. I love shape cut rulers. I'll show you how to use it today. Also a 24 inch ruler or around about that, especially if you don't have a shape cut ruler. And a square up ruler. I like the Cozy Quilt tube ruler, and that's what I'll be using myself. Thread, be sure you have lots of bobbins wound. I always keep at least 6 wound for each project. Your straight pins, I prefer flower tops and Wonder Clips, which I also love to use. Scissors, ripper, Post-it notes or some other way to number your fabrics, Ziploc bags for organization, tool for marking, and I always use a friction pen unless I can't find it. Sometimes that happens. On your pattern, your light will be marked with a light colored box. Medium, you'll be able to see it on your pattern, and it's well identified. So let's dive into it right now. Oh, hold on. I forgot about picking our fabrics. We have to do that. Well, let's dive into that. So I picked Decorum by Moda to pick my fabrics from. These are fat quarters. So we're going to untie this bundle. There's a few ways that I've decided to pick the fabrics from, and I've got a little bit of a cheat sheet behind me here. So I've picked these as my lights. All of these. So you can see they're all different patterns on them, but that's what we want. We want a lot of different patterns. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. These are actually the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I may grab maybe a color. Maybe I'll grab a blue. There's a blue that's light. I can use that. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 will do it. And so I have 8 different actual fabrics in there. I might decide later on to add another blue in there from the shop. I could use this one in there. Best way to check is look at the camera and see if those are going to be okay. Now, when I pick my mediums, which in this case, I decided on the browns as my mediums. 1, 2.
These are your medium or medium light?
Medium light. Excuse me, Tiffany. I did say the wrong thing, didn't I? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 medium lights, and I actually need 5 fat quarters for this. So I may take this one out because it's a little bit dark to me and put these in. So there's my 5 medium. So I'm looking at the camera here and seeing, I think I like those. So then I'll go on to the mediums. And I had 2 thoughts on the mediums. So I thought about using the blues, which I only needed 5 of for the mediums. I can use those, but then I have these beautiful patterns in here that are just every color in them. So here's 4, and I could throw that one in there and take these out and use those. And I like those too. So I'm going to have to think about this when I come to the mediums, to cutting the mediums, then I'll have to make my decision. But for right now, I'm going to leave those. Then on our medium darks, I needed 5 of those, I believe. 4. I only need 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I could use those, or I could use those, or I can leave them all and use them all. Whichever I come to it, I'll decide. And then my darks will be these. If I use these as my darks, I'm going to use this one probably. So I probably will end up doing it this way. And I think that's going to be too light. So I may go and get something to add from my stash or something to make the 8 fat quarters for the darks. So that's our color scheme that we're going to use for the project. And now I'm going to take a minute and go iron the lights, and I will be back in a minute to go into the cutting. Okay, we've got our fabric ironed, and now we're going to proceed on with our lesson 1. What we're going to do is you'll get a paper with your pattern that has all the different labels for your bags. You're going to cut it out and then cut them into small pieces and put them on each bag. So keep your bags in order as that they are on your paper. So I've cut out all my lights with my first one on my list is the first one on the first bag, and then it goes down. And then we're going to proceed on with our cutting. So I lay my top line, my fabric on the top on a line, and then I fold my bottom one up to it and match it to a line down here. And if they're the same, then I know it's nice and squared up. So now I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to look. It says fabric required light. I need 8 fat quarters, 4 to 6 different fat quarters. So I actually have that 4 to 6 is what you need, but I like to use 8. I like the 8 on the light. And so I'm going to pick 6 for my first cutting, and we'll be doing all the cutting today and putting them all into the bags. I'm only going to do the light for the video because then you can proceed on after that. So I'm going to cut 6 3.5 inch strips. So 1, 2, I've already folded these, 3, 4, 5, folded double, and I don't mind cutting that many, but you might not want to. So let me cut these. Let me separate these into 2 piles. So my first one is going to be the 3-inch cut, so 3.5 inch. So I need to get this squared on the edge. I don't want to be cutting. I want a straight edge to cut from. Now it says I need to cut 6 of these, so I'm going to have 6 different colors of this first cut. So on this one, I'm going to use my ruler, but I like to use shape cut most of the time. So I will use the ruler on this one just to show you. This is lined up. And I like to use a weight. Keeps it, especially when you aren't strong enough. So there's my first cut. I'm going to slide those over there. And then I'm going to move this out of the way and get the second batch. Now I'm going to start cutting with my strip cut ruler because that's my favorite one. That's what I use all the time. And I'll show you all how to use it. You have to fold quadrant in half and in half again if you're going to use with the fabric. Fat 8ths it works great with because you only have to fold it the one time. So this has on the corner of it, it has a 0, 0. And that's going to be your first cut, and that's where everything comes from. So I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to cut off a strip. to square up this edge. And I pull it out. I don't move this at all, but I want to make sure that I get a complete strip on each one. Because if I don't, that means something's going to come up short when I'm cutting. So I have a complete strip, so I'll be able to go ahead and cut my next strip. So we're still on the first one. So now I have 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it says I need to subcut them into squares. And that's what I'm going to do now. And I need 28 squares. Now on this, when you make your first cut, I'm going to make it wrong the first time so you can see what I mean by what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take and make a cut to square up the edge and pull it out. And I can see, this is the one time you want to move your ruler and check and see. I have some of my salvage left, so I need to recut it to get rid of the salvage. We don't want any salvage left on that edge. So I'm just going to recut that. Normally I would have cut it wider to start with, but I wanted you to see that mistake. So that gives me 28 with 2 extra, and that way I can decide what I want to use in the quilt when I get it going to make the larger blocks. So I'm going to take my first bag with those measurements on it, and I'm going to put all of these in that first bag. Now I have all of these in light cut, and that bag is finished. So I'll move into the next one. I need 3 of them. So these are extra, just extra fabric. So I need 3 different ones for the next cut. I think I'm going to use the ones I haven't used yet, because I like them. So put them up here on the table. There's 3 different strips, and there will not be any subcut to that. Put my weight on it. Square up my edge. And cut it the required amount. So it says I need 3 of them. So I've got 3 different colors here, and I will put these in the 3 in the one with the correct amount on it. that away. Then I would take, at this time, to make sure I don't repeat anything or get anything wrong, is I've lost my pen. There it is. So I'm going to check off what I've cut so I know that I've cut those and that they're already put in the bags. So I'm going to cut that, check that one, check that one. I use a friction pen myself, and that way I can take and iron over this and start from scratch at some point for another project of the same quilt. So now I'm going to need only one fat quarter and cut it. And what I want to do for this one, because I know it's for the star in the center and I only need one of them, I'm going to pick one fabric for that one that I like really well, and that's this little blue print. I think it'll look really pretty in the center. So I'm going to pick this one and only have to cut one of these. That edge is nice and squared up. And I'll take that bag and put it in it. This is very easy to keep organized if you do this. If you try to just clip them together, I found that did not work. Some of them, you have so many cuts, you don't know how many, how big it won't fit with clips or pins even. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the next one, and I need 16 of these. So that will be two from each of the strips that I have. So I'm going to take that one, and I think I might just not use the little blue one again, just because I like it so well and I want it to stand out in the middle of the quilt. So I'll cut. I need two from each strip, from each color. So there's 6. Your pattern will tell you exactly how many from each in all for the strips that you need. Put my weight on it. There's 2 more. So that's 6, 12. Oops, some of them went on the floor. Okay, so that should be 16, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's my 16 strips. But looking across, it says I need to subcut them into squares. So now I'm going to lay them out like this, and I'll pile them up. This one has a really wide edge, so I'm going to set it in far enough that I know that I'm going to trim that edge off. Line up my 0, 0 on the bottom and on the edge. I wait on. Now I can fan these and see that I've cut all of the salvage off of each one. That one's really close, but it is off. And all the wide ones are off. So now I can start subcutting. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 times 16 is 166. No, 160. So I needed 128, so I have plenty. So those are those. And we'll stack them all up. I don't mind having a little bit extra cut, because then I will, if I want to do any picking of which fabric I want where, I have plenty to choose from. So here are these. So we're going to put these in this bag with the correct label on it. And we'll check the check mark off. And now we're going to cut 4 more of them. So let's just pick some. 1, 2, like this one. 3. I try to get as many different fabrics in on every single one that I can. And use this one. I like this nice geometric one. All my edges line up. And I just need 4 of these. It's not quite even, so I think I'm going to square it up again. You have plenty of fabric, so you can square as often as you need to. And then I'll cut this one. It's going to be subcut into a rectangle instead of squares. Again, lay them out. This quilt has very few half square triangles in them, so you won't have to worry about that. I know a lot of you had begged me to do this year without them. That was a challenge for me because I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to do it, but I did, just with a few half square triangles. I was hoping for 0, but that did not happen. One, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 4 should be 16. 1, 4, 8, 12, 16. So there's those 16 rectangles. And we'll put them in a bag, labeled. We only have 2 more light bags to do. Check that one off and move on to the next one. So I need 13 of these, of this color. I'm going to set these aside. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. I need 13 strips, so I'll cut 1 out of this set of fabric and 2 out of the other one. I think that'll give me enough. Oops, I cut the wrong size. Since I made that first cut wrong, I'm going to go ahead and trim that piece off so I don't accidentally use it. There's one. Here's the next set. Oops, I didn't quite get through those. This is when you go, gee, I should have changed my blade. And then when you change it, you go, I really needed to change my blade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I need 1 more. What color do I want to use? I think I might grab this. I haven't used it again. So that will give me my 13 of these. And And there's no subcut of these. So we're just going to fold them and put them in their bag, 13 of them. So here are those strips, and then I just have one more of the light to do, and I will have the light all done, and then we'll just be proceeding. You will be proceeding into the next medium lights and lights. They're the same instructions. You'll be able to see it. So I'm going to need 28 strips, which will be quite a few more. So I think you've got the basics for what you're going to be doing. The instructions are pretty clear, like mud. You just need to cut the number of strips of each fabric, and then when it has a subcut that. It tells you the width and the length of everything. We're basing it on that quarter strips, not full length strips. So I think that will do it for us until lesson number 2. Lesson number 2, you're going to get to make your first block. So we will see you in a month. Bye.